We're really looking for potential food plot sites that are in here where we can create food if it's not already here.
Buying land is something most people dream about. Whether you hunt, fish, or partake in other outdoor activities, there is just something about doing it on your land. In most cases, buying a piece of property is the biggest investment in a person's life. Doing your research and putting boots on the ground is crucial in order to find out if the property is worth your money. With the correct management plan, even the most misused piece of land can be turned into the property of your dreams.
A lot of work in this property, but there's a lot of potential.
Hey guys, welcome back to the off season. This episode will be the beginning of a two-part series where Austin and I will take you through the entire process of looking at a piece of property that is in rough shape, deciding whether or not it's worth our money, and then implementing our management strategies to improve the wildlife and its habitat. Buying a piece of land is no small matter, and that is why it's so important to do your homework and thoroughly examine the ground before investing your money. We like to call this the boots on the ground phase. And this technique is a great way to gauge things like timber value, soil quality, access to water, and even the current wildlife population, which are all key factors to us in whether or not to buy a piece of land. One thing that we have found in the past is when property comes for sale nearby, it's best to contact the realtor immediately and ask for a tour of the ground as soon as possible.
Well, we just got the call we've been waiting for from the real estate agent. He's given us permission to put boots on the ground, look at the property, and even said we can do some soil samples. So we're over here in the barn right now. We're gonna take advantage of this beautiful day. You got everything we need?
Pick, shovel, yeah, should be good.
Let's roll. So one of the things that really has us excited about this farm is it's within 5 miles of our home farm, and it gives us the opportunity to spend a lot of time on the property. If you're going to put money into a piece of property, you want to make sure you can spend time there. So a lot of guys get camps that are 3, 4, 5, 6 hours away or in another state. They get value out of that, but not as much as time to use it as we're going to be able to do if this farm comes together for us. You know, as important it is to get in here and take a really good look at this property and make sure it has what we're looking for: food, cover, and water. It's also important that we sort of do this at a pace that gets it done in an amount of time, because if we're here doing this, I'm sure other people are aware this property is for sale and are going to be doing the same thing we are. So if we're serious about it without making rash decisions, I think we need to get in here, study the ground. If we like what we see, put an offer in. Well, the first part of scouting this property out is going to come from the seat of the truck. We have a highway that forms a border on the northwest side. The whole eastern part of this is formed by either the river, the Susquehanna River, or 219 here. So those are really easy borders to try and, you know, post up and keep the traffic out of. So let's take a ride. We'll go up the highway here for a mile or two and look at the access. Let's look at how many access points that we can see from the highway that are going to be problematic for us, that we have to sort of close up later, either with gates or barriers of some sort. So obviously right here is the main access to the property.
Yes. There's another, it looks like right here too. There's another road that goes up over the hill or something.
Okay, looks like maybe a gas well gate or something right here. Okay, well that's good.
It shows that they connect, those two roads actually connect up through there somewhere.
But basically this road is the border, which is pretty good. You got some houses that are jutting out of it, but it probably, does it jump back out here? I think it jumps back out to the highway here.
Right here, it's right onto the highway right here.
So it's going to be one of those easy to post properties, basically, at least on 3 sides. This property is 344 acres, and about half of that property looks like it was in old strip jobs where they stripped the coal mines out of here. They've taken the top of the mountain off to get at the coal, and they've reclaimed it. So of that 344 acres, we may have 150 acres of timber, and the rest old field and young timber. So let's get out and look at this. Unlike the other roads out front were wide open, this one has a gate on it already, so it should be a lot of cost. The good thing is there's a gate here. The bad thing is it's not working the right way, but a few bucks we can probably get this thing welded right and put a lock on it and use what we have.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't be an expensive entry for us, and it doesn't look like they can get around it anywhere here. I like this, but about as far as you can see, there's garbage thrown everywhere in here, so that's something new that's going to be part of it. You're a piece of property that's open to the public, which A lot of times there's good ground, they take care of it, but this is why people post their ground. What we're gonna do is go in there right now. Looks like a lot of roads. What we could tell from the map, it looks like a bunch of gas well pads in there. So we'll just ride all the roads, make sure there's infrastructure in place and it's passable, which we'd need if we're gonna timber the property, if we're gonna bring tractors in here to do food plotting. It's important you have infrastructure. So if the roads are in here, that's gonna save us a cost later. If they're not, that makes the property a little bit more expensive to get onto. As we said before, we're looking for food, water, and cover on this property. And you can have food, water, and cover, but if they're not arranged the right way on a piece of property, it gets really expensive to try and create those. So right now, we see water on this side. We determined there's water on the other side. It was going into that reservoir and out of the reservoir. So both sides of what we say is the hill or the mountain of this property has water. So whether there's any water in the interior of it, I don't know, but this is a good sign. For only 344 acres, I can tell you from the truck, they're gonna have water all the way around it. So while we're here at this power line, without even getting out of the truck now, I can tell you from looking at, for instance, Ronnie's piece of property on a farm like this power line cuts all the way through. We can see it on the map. There's going to be good opportunity for rifle stands on this piece of property, whether you're thinning out does or you're doing whatever, bringing a lot of youth in here. We're primarily bow hunters, but we know there's going to be rifle setups on this property just from these power lines.
Easy food plots without clearing trees. And
yeah, as long as we get them, they're not steep like that.
Yeah,
that's not going to do us any good right there. Well, if you're like us, you get excited over hunting a good river bottom for those bucks in the fall. So we're going to drop down in here, see what it looks like in here, see what kind of timber's here, and if there's already some deer sign here from last season. Well, we've only dropped down in here about 80, 90 yards, and it's a pleasant surprise to see so much wooded area down here before the river. And it's easy to see here that they haven't touched the timber down here. They haven't stripped anything off. They've stripped the side of the hill and they've left the top of the hill. So there's lots of area. I really think this is huntable. So one of the many things we'll be looking at on the property today is the timber. We're down here in the bottom right now. We're noticing a lot of somewhat larger trees. We're not foresters, but we have enough knowledge just to be dangerous, I guess. So I'd suggest if you have the time when cruising a piece of property to bring a forester with you to maybe tell you there's value right now or there'll be value 10, 20 years down the road you can expect off that property. But there's some nice looking trees down here. We know there's some mass producing trees. There's some oaks. I see some cherry here. But again, you want to work with a forester who has your goals in mind. Sometimes you have a forester that's just looking at future values of that timber, and on the complete opposite end of the spectrum is all on habitat creation for wildlife. We want a happy medium in there. We want to create habitat for the wildlife, but we also want to protect some of the futures on the property for revenue for the next generation. I really like to see older stumps in here, which tells me it hasn't been dozed off. They didn't strip the soil off this. They clear cut it probably to get some value out of the timber when they did the clear cutting and the strip job works over here, but they did not strip this part of the property. Well, we're running out of daylight here. We spent a great day on the property. We like what we saw on the river bottom. We like what we saw in the middle of the property. We found potential spots for food plots there. There's lots of cover. And we knew when we got to this ridge top, we were gonna see something more to our liking of a normal style hunting that we do. Lots of archery setups up here, tons of oaks, lots of soft mast up here for these deer. I see some dollar signs coming to us where Austin, we could probably cut some of these trees out, sell them, get enough money to bring some equipment in here, take the stumps out and put a 1.5 to 2 acre food plot on this ridge top. And we're gonna be able to bring deer in here and hold them on the property.
After spending a long day touring this property, we came away with a few positives and a few negatives. We really liked the river bottom and top of the hill, both for hunting opportunities and future timber potential. Also, there was great access to water and the soil was generally pretty good in the areas where we would implement food plots. On the other hand, the property was full of trash left behind by the last owners of the property, and the majority of the 335 acres was steep terrain, which will pose a challenge. In the end, after much deliberation, Austin and I decided the property was worth putting an offer in, and fortunately for us, the offer was accepted. Well, we are now proud owners of 335 acres just a few minutes down the road from our main farm. Now the hard work begins, starting with infrastructure such as building and cleaning up roads, installing gates, and removing the outside pressure from the property, so when we do add food plots and habitat to this piece, the wildlife will be able to thrive. All of this can be found on the next episode in this series, where we show you the next steps and explain our process on how to clean up a property that is in rough shape and turn it into a deer and turkey hunter's dream. We hope you found this episode interesting, and we hope you tune in to the next installment of The Off Season.